I'm going to show you how to make yoghurt, the set yoghurt or Greek style yoghurt, from a starter of yoghurt. And we're going to use milk to turn that milk into the Greek style yoghurt. First of all, you'll need a measuring jug. This one measures up to 2 litres, again depends how much you're making. Some wide mouth flasks, and the reason they're wide mouth because this yoghurt does set, so you need it wide mouth to be able to get it out of the flasks. You will need a digital thermometer to accurately measure the temperature. This one measures in degrees Fahrenheit. It also measures in degrees Celsius. I just pressed the button, and there is a link on my website to show you where to get one of these at quite a reasonable price. So the next thing we need is a whisk to mix the yogurt with the milk. We need the yogurt itself. Now all yogurts will work. This one I've chosen because it's quite a reasonable cost. I only want a small amount. You don't need a large amount of stuff. What I call this is a starter. There are 2 different types of live bacteria in here which will convert the milk into yogurt. So this is a Greek style yogurt which is set. This is the milk I'm going to use to turn into yogurt. This is a full cream milk of 4% fat. You can use semi-skimmed, which is 2% fat. You can use skimmed, which is 0% fat. Again, like with buttermilk, which is in a previous video, I prefer to use 5% fat milk, which is the Channel Islands or Gold Top milk. You can also use goat's milk to make the yogurt, albeit obviously it's going to be a different flavour, but it works just as well. So I poured the milk into the saucepan, and I'm going to let it heat gently. I don't want to bring it up to too much heat too quickly, so nice and slow heat. It's on a minimum setting, and what I'm looking to do, because we're going to make some yogurt this time, but it's the same principle as making cultured buttermilk. You've got to bring the milk up to a temperature of at least 82 degrees Celsius. That's about 180 degrees Fahrenheit. So we'll wait now until that comes up to temperature, then I'll transfer that milk into a jug. So the temperature on there now is showing me 83 degrees Celsius, comes to 84, 85. Now that's high enough temperature, so I'm going to turn off the heat. Now here's the milk I've already heated, and I'll put it into a jug. And you can probably see on there it's down to about 75 degrees Celsius. In fact, if I change the scale, we're down to 168 degrees Fahrenheit. I prefer working in Celsius and work like Fahrenheit. Now, this needs to cool down quite considerably before I add the yogurt culture. The temperature we're looking for is anywhere between 37 and 42 degrees Celsius. Just to turn that off. So I've covered that now with cling film or cling wrap. I don't want anything to get in there while it's cooling down. So we'll just leave that now for perhaps an hour, hour and a half. But I would come back every sort of half hour to check the temperature, because we are looking at between, again working in Celsius, between 37, which is body temperature, and 42 degrees Celsius. The nearer to 42 degrees Celsius, the better. Okay, so it's been about an hour, hour and a half, so let's just check the temperature. Get an even through. We're on 42.9, 43 degrees Celsius. So we're almost there. We need to get around over 42. So the next stage in the process, while I'm waiting for that to cool down to 42, I'm going to boil a kettle because I need to disinfect and get the temperature of my flasks nice and warm. So the reason I want to pour boiling water in the flask, so be careful when you do this, obviously for health and safety reasons, is firstly to preheat the flask to get it nice and warm, because we want to keep it at a constant warm temperature as we leave the product throughout the night. It also disinfects the inside of the flask, killing any undesirable fungi, any possible pathogens and other bacteria which we don't really want in the finished product. So there's no need to leave it for too long, just a couple of minutes, and then we'll add the solution. What I also like to do, just to be on the safe side, is to dip your whisk into the flask to make sure that's disinfected as well, in readiness for the mixing. So I can put that to one side. It'd probably be a good idea as well, what I always do is to tip boiling water onto the stoppers as well that go onto the flasks. So here are my ingredients for the making of Greek style yogurt. We've got the starter culture, Greek style, which is partly set. We've got the milk, which I've heated now to 85 or 82, between 82 and 85 degrees Celsius, but 180 degrees Fahrenheit. And I've cooled it down to between 42 and 37 degrees Celsius. We'll check the temperature with a temperature probe. We're going to mix the starter with the milk. The spoon is there just really to take the starter. You're not going to need all the starter from that. Now my flasks I've already filled up with boiling water. Like with the buttermilk culture, it's mainly to disinfect the inside of the flask and to give it a nice temperature that when we pour the mixture in, it'll remain at that temperature for quite a while when we put the stoppers in. So let's just check the milk and just get even it out there. There we are, it's between 41.6 41.7 degrees Celsius. Now in Fahrenheit we're looking at, says in there, 106.9, 107. Okay, so that's the ideal temperature to mix the culture. So we take the yogurt, which again, if you look at that, I can just get the light right, you can see it's set, it's quite thick. The milk is quite liquid. You don't need too much, so I'm just going to use about that much, was probably a tablespoonful or a heaped dessert spoon. So let's just put that in. I'll just whisk that in thoroughly. Make sure it's well incorporated. And as soon as I pour this into the flask and leave overnight is where the magic happens. So this is the preheated flask. It's been disinfected obviously with the hot water. Just fill it up. Just up to the rim. There we go. And just seal that with the stopper, which again I've put into boiling water. Just seal it up, and what we'll do then is just leave this overnight. I'll come back to it tomorrow morning. So here we are the next day. We've hopefully made some nice set yogurt. So let's open the flask and see what we get. Hopefully this is what I call the magic moment. Well, it's not really magic, it's not really Penn and Teller stuff, but it is biological. Let's just tip that towards the camera. Look at that, absolutely set. Fantastic. So the next part of the process is to tip it out. No, there's a problem. Now if you ever come across that, sometimes you can empty it through gravity If that doesn't work, then we need to get a, what I'm using at the moment is a chopstick. Goes right down to the bottom, turns it around, loosens it. You can see how thick that is now. Absolutely gorgeous. Let's try again. Ah, that's better. Look how thick and creamy that is. It comes with one big lump almost. And just for comparison, I'd just like to show you the buttermilk, which is on my left, and the yogurt which I made, and look at the difference in consistency. The left one, the buttermilk, is like very thick cream, and the yogurt on the right, a bit thicker, a bit more texture, almost set. But two beautifully homemade cultured products, the buttermilk and yogurt. Obviously yogurt can be used for many things, in cookery, in breakfasts, in curries, in sauces. But I will say with the yogurt, only add the yogurt once you've taken the pan, or if you are cooking with it, off the heat. Don't add the yogurt and then heat, because that will tend to split it. But if you leave yogurt once you've taken the product from the heat, whether it's a sauce based food dish or anything else along those lines, if you take it from the heat it will stay thick. Buttermilk again is a beautiful ingredient, used a lot in cookery and bacon for example, but another good method to use it for is for marinating meat products, especially chicken. If you marinate chicken in buttermilk overnight and then cook it, it's absolutely succulent. And here's a little tip, again, if you want to make some nice, almost southern fried chicken thighs or chicken drumsticks, marinate in buttermilk overnight, drain off the excess, then put a coating of your favourite dusting powder. Again, I'll probably cover that at a later stage. It's going to be a mixture of flour and other spices. So, enjoy.